So again, I welcome you to this class. Thank you very much for coming. And we are continuing to talk about achieving success with emotional intelligence. Today we are going to talk about communication and how important communication is to achieve success. So the outline would be the emotional framework, why we communicate, the communication media, and then what we call the success framework. And success, which is a framework to communicate, stands for simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional, storytelling, and simulation. So you could see that it's simple, it's unexpected, it's concrete, it's credible, emotional, there's a story, and simulation. And that makes the word success. So through that, you'll be able, hopefully, to remember it next time you would like to utilize that technique. So as usual, we start with our emotional framework. We keep on reminding ourselves with that. And it has two columns. So you have the self part, and you have the social or the relational part. And it has two rows. So you have the awareness part when you know about it, and the regulation when you do something about it. So self-awareness, which is, as we said, is the cornerstone. We have to know ourselves first. That will enable us to achieve self-regulation or self-management. So this is how we could manage our anger, our emotions, and things like that. And through that, we will be able to appreciate our impact on our environment. And we have the social or the relational part at the awareness level, which we call social awareness. And eventually, we arrive at relationship management. So as we said, relationship management is extremely important for success. So happiness, which is often cited as the ultimate measure of success, is measured by the quality of relationships that we have. So you think about it, the quality of the relationship that you have with your families, with your parents and siblings will definitely, if you have a high quality relationship, that will make you happier. A quality relationship with your team members will make your project more successessful. A good relationship with your customers will make you a successful business person. So it's always about the relationship that we have with other individuals. Now, we have been focusing for the past few lessons about relationship management, and we talk about developing other, inspiration, leadership, having influence on the others, being a change catalyst, managing conflict, and also do teamwork and collaboration. And you could see that for each and every one of the components of the relationship management, we will need to communicate, because it involves us and the other. It involves me and you. And once there is something that is beyond me, another individual, then communication becomes extremely important. And we are going to talk about this more. So the question that I would like to start with is, why do we communicate? And I would like to, anyone would like to answer this? So why do we communicate? Why do you think we need to communicate? Sure. So let me give you the mic.
We communicate to exchange ideas.
To exchange ideas. So for us to transfer an idea to someone. Yes, right. And why do we need to communicate, to exchange ideas?
So, for example, if you want to solve a solution, we can conclude it by exchanging ideas. Maybe
right.
We can get a solution from the other person.
Right. So for us to be able to work with someone else on any challenge, we will need to communicate. Okay, so to enable teamwork. Yes, you want to say something?
To understand one another.
So for us to understand one another, to empathize with the other, we actually need to communicate.
Yes, if there's no sort of bridge of communication between us, I would not know what you think, what you feel, or how do you react. So we will not understand each other, and there will always be a conflict between us.
Right. Exactly. Someone else want to say something? Yes.
To gather information.
Right. So there's something that we do not know, and we need to communicate, right? So we gather the information so that we
understand this thing better.
Right. So to understand other people and other things better, and to gather the information that maybe we don't have right now. Anyone else want to add anything? Do your parent communicate with you? Okay, yes, good. And why do you think, what is the purpose for communication? What is the thing that they want to achieve with that communication? What? Someone say something here? Yes.
To understand us?
So they want to understand you. And so and what is the ultimate goal? So they understand you. So you understand. I give you an example to make it easier for you. So she doesn't come for class. Example, doesn't come for class. No, huh? So let's say, for example, she doesn't show up for class. Then the parents communicate. They understand she doesn't like the class. And later, what happened? So now they understand that she's not happy and she doesn't want to go. So now they understand. But what is the ultimate purpose for the communication?
Correcting mistakes.
So if this behavior is wrong, they want to change it. So sometimes we want actually to communicate with people because we want a certain change. So sometimes we communicate because we want to understand. But sometimes we communicate because we want some change, right? Okay. Anyone else want to say anything before we progress? Now, we communicate because we want, most of the time, because we want to influence others. So, if there is your parents talking to you and want you to work hard, clearly they didn't see that behavior in you, and they want you to change so that you work harder. If a salesman communicate with you, what would be his ultimate objective, you reckon? To sell. So his objective is to sell, but what does he want me to do? He wants me to buy, right? So the change that he wants me or she wants me to have is that I purchase, sign the contract. Okay. If you apply for a job, you communicate with the employer, and your goal is to get the employment, because they have maybe a number of people who have applied for the job, and you want them to pick you. If you apply for a scholarship, and let's say there are 3 scholarships and there are 20 applicants, so your role of communication is to influence the people who are making the selection, so that they choose you and maybe not choose the other guy. So often there is an influence kind of dimension to communication. Sometimes it's just for fun, we just gossip, but most of the time, maybe even the gossip, we actually want something from that. And that thing that we want is often involve someone else. Hence, influence comes very highly. Now, when we want to develop others, do you think communication is important? So when I want to develop you, or you want to develop me, or you want, and don't find that strange. You may have some developmental goals that you want me to do. And you need to communicate that to me in a way that I will understand, appreciate, accept. Only then the change that you want is going to take place. Communication happens to inspire change. So if the government would like us to change our maybe consumption behavior, or would like us to accept the GST that they are introducing now, there's a lot of communication going on. I don't know if you see that on TV, advertisement and telling you it's actually very good for you, that now you pay more for things and things like that. And that's all is communication. To manage conflict, we also need to communicate. And I think we talked about that in our previous class. Teamwork and collaboration is, again, where a very fertile environment where we need to communicate. So when is communication successful? Yes, can you say it?
When the person we are communicating to change
Change in which way?
in what we want.
Yes, so if I want you, for example, to work harder, or to quit smoking, or to whatever, if the objective of the communication has been understood, the change has taken place, then I'm successful. But if when I communicate, you actually now do the behavior that I don't want even more, that's a failure of communication. Does it happen at times? Someone wants us to actually do this, and because they are asking us to do this, we start doing that. Does that happen? So when someone nags you, it doesn't necessarily give that person the impact that they want. So that's, the communication took place, but the objective is not achieved, and hence it's not successful. So that's a key point that we need. The intended message is received by the intended audience. So if the intended message is this, and I'm targeting, let's say, the people who are not in the class today, I don't think my communication is successful, because I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you. So I have to have an intended audience in my mind and an intended message. So if the message is the class is going to be cancelled, or the class is going to be half an hour later, those people who want to come, they need to understand that it is half an hour later, not 15 minutes later, not 20 minutes earlier. And these are things that interestingly happen all the time when there is a change in venue, change in time, because the way it's communicated, people get very confused and they actually don't know what's happening. So the first part is the intended message is received. So I have to, it has to be received as intended, and has to be received by the intended audience. Then the intended message stays in the mind of the intended audience. So if my message is drink more water or eat more vegetable, then you may have heard it and then you just forget about it. But if I can find a way so that it will reach you and stays with you, and eventually the desired behavioral change takes place, then the communication is successful. So the objective, for example, if I am a car manufacturer, the objective for my communication would be, I would like the people who can afford my car know that my car exists and it has these kind of features. And I want this message to stay with them when they are thinking of buying a car, and when they are trying or thinking of buying a car, I would like them to think of the car that I made as number one choice. This kind of communication, we call it normally advertisement. And it is a form of communication where a final change in behavior is desired and expected by the person or the party that is responsible or starting the communication process. Now, communication media, the communication can be verbal, So I talk to you, or your parents talk to you, or someone calls you. That's verbal. It can be printed text. So the newspapers, the notes that we give you are also a form of communication. It could be visual. So it could be by pictures, by cartoons, TV, cinema. Social media now is really picking up as a way to communicate. So often when I ask, I don't know, that we have certain things in the class, and I think it happened with you. We had an issue with the classroom, and the classroom that we put on the times was wrong, and you told me that you put the right venue on Facebook. So somehow we made an announcement for the change of venue, and the venue that we put was the wrong venue, but she managed to reach everybody on Facebook, and eventually everyone came in. So that was a form of communication that really saved the day, last minute. Otherwise, if we don't have this, it's going to be very difficult to reach the remaining students. So now let me talk about success, but as simple, unexpected, credible, concrete, emotional stories and simulation. This, I have to credit the source. This framework came from a book by Chip and Dan Heath that's called Made to Stick. And these two guys are brothers, and they often write books together. And they write very well. So if you have time, I would really recommend that you read this book. I have the book both as audiobook and as hardcover. So if anyone is interested to borrow the book, I could lend you that. And these guys notice that certain things do, or certain facts, or certain messages, or even certain myths do stick, and certain things don't stick. And they studied the messages and the pieces of information that sticks with us, and we keep on remembering them. So for example, there's something says, drink how many glasses of water a day? 8. So who created this? I don't know, but everyone seems to think, regardless of your body size, the weather, the country, whatever, you need to drink 8 glasses of water. So this is a message that somehow managed to stick. And so that's why they say, what are the features of the messages that will eventually stick? And I'm sure if you would like to communicate as a salesperson, a businessman, an individual, a friend, an engineer, you would like the message that you share to stick. You would like people to remember your message so that it eventually achieves the change that you are after. So they found that messages that stick often are simple, and if they have an unexpected element to them, they will be remembered for very long time. So for example, if I come to the class today dressed like a clown, I think you will remember this class for very, very long time, because you didn't expect me to be dressed like that. Concrete, so these are things that you could actually touch. They are very tangible. So 8 glasses of water, you know how many glasses of water. So imagine if the message was drink 4,000 cubic cc of water a day. You know, not as concrete, as tangible as 8 glasses of water. Has to be credible. People have to believe you. If it's emotional, if it touches us at an emotional level, people will remember that. And if you tell it with a story, people will remember that. And if you simulate it, people will remember that. So what I would like you really to do, you have a presentation tomorrow, right? I would really like you to think of how are you going to use these techniques or some of them in your presentation tomorrow. You could easily, you are presenting your robot, you could easily fall into the trap of talking about the technical aspects of your robot. And guess what? Will people remember the technical aspects? What kind of frequency you've used? How many batteries you've used? Will they remember that 1 or 2 or 3 days after the presentation? I doubt so. But if you tell your presentation with a story, and if the story is emotional, so if this project have changed you in somehow, if this project have gotten some people to help you somehow, and then you are a different person today, if you could tell a story, then your story will normally stick, if it's a nice story and if it's an emotional story. So that's the success the success framework that I would like to share with you. Now, even the fact that we are saying success is simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional storytelling and simulation, this is a technique to make the framework simpler, because through this now you will remember there are all these elements to it, and that will help you in the future to remember it. So let me start with this. What is this? Yes, who wanna say something? Okay. So what is this?
A moose.
A moose. Okay. What is this? A bull. Okay. So this is who think this is a bull? Raise your hand. Who doesn't? To you, this is not clear. What is this? Raise your hand. You don't know what is this? Sorry? Yeah, you say it? Alien. An alien. So this looks like an alien to you? Okay. So again, those who thought it's a bull, raise your hand. What do you think? You keep your hands up, please. Yeah. What do you think? You know what's a bull? Yeah. So you think this is a bull or not? So why you are raising your hand? Okay. So can you tell us why you think it's a bull?
Because you have a big body. Some kind of a paw. Oh, okay.
No. No. Where?
Yeah, and then there's a.
So it's male. It looks like.
It should be.
Yeah. Has horns,
Yeah,
right?
has horns.
Yes.
Small head.
Yeah.
It'll almost look like a frog.
Right.
Bigger.
But this is
With
not a
tail.
mouse. Doesn't look like a horse.
No.
Right. So it's more like a bull. Now, is this drawing familiar?
No.
This is actually a painting by Picasso. And interestingly, the way he arrived at this drawing is he started with a bull, then, or a buffalo, okay, and then he removed parts from it slowly, removed more parts, still looks like a bull, looks like a bull, still looks like a bull, still looks like a bull, still, until he reached this drawing which I show you on the previous slide. Now that drawing is the simplest form of a bull. If you remove any part of it, it won't be a bull anymore. Okay? So this is how you make things simple. Now, interestingly, people may think that Picasso actually have started with this and moved to finally to the other part, but it's not that way. It's for a painter, it's easier to draw the full kind of like you take a picture of the object. But to really see the object for what it is, for its essential parts that if you remove any part of it, you will say it's either a bull or a cow. Or you remove another part, you actually don't know what it is. So that's how simple works. And your message has to be simple. Your presentation has to be simple. Your answer has to be simple. So how to get things to be simple? You need to strip your message to the core. Really, what is very essential in this presentation that you are giving tomorrow? The core. Now you could later, if someone asks you a question, answer as they ask you, but can you give the core? If we are given only 30 seconds to tell me about your robot, what will you tell me? If you are given only 30 seconds, what will you tell me? That's really the choice that you are going to make. The simple is the core, and it has to be compact. So you compact it as much as you could, just like Picasso did with the bull. And if you can find a way to make it available in the memory. So for example, what is the framework that we are discussing now? What is it called? Not the emotional intelligence about the communication, success. So the first S stands for, the U stands for unexpected. The C stands for credible. The other C, concrete. You see, you have already sort of memorized it. Now, if I did not call it success, then the likelihood that you will be able to remember it is much less. So when you do it in such a way, makes it available in the memory. If I can make it into a song, the likelihood you will remember a song is much higher than you remember just a text. If I can convert this into a picture, the likelihood that you recall the picture is much higher than you recall, 2-page kind of text. Now, interestingly, simple does not necessarily mean easy. And that's what I wanted to show you when I show the bull by Picasso. So it's not like you have the simple and then you complicate it. The complex sometimes is easier than simple. For you for a lecturer to make a concept simple, the lecturer needs to really be a master at that concept. Only when you master a concept, you can make it simple. Only when you know everything about something where you could actually simplify it and help others understand it. So there's this quote by Steve Jobs that I would like actually to read word for word. He says that simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. So if you look at the Apple interface, often it's clean and simple. I think we talked about this, the fact that the iPad, the iPhone will only have one button here. There's a reason for that, to make it simple. But for you to make that button, you could double click it, you could click it for, this is where sort of the genius come. If you look at the Google, the website, their web page, the main page, do you see any advertisement there? They actually don't put it on the main one. They just like you have a space where you could put your search keyword or whatever, and there is search, and I'm feeling lucky, right? So there is a reason why they make it simple, because it has to be like that. This is how will you remember it. And when you think about it, the things that we keep on remembering are the simpler one. Now, but again, simple doesn't mean easy, doesn't mean trivial. It means that it could be like a life-changing fact. But how can you make it or put it in a simple way? So I would like to give you an example here. If I share with you that diarrhea has 2 million children deaths per year. So this is from the UNICEF. So you have 2 million deaths per year. And the deaths can be prevented with ORS, the oral rehydration solution. So there is a solution. If you could actually keep on feeding the children while they are having the diarrhea, with that solution, you could prevent death from dehydration. Now, the solution is very simple. It has these chemical components. And if you mix these chemical components with water, you will have the oral rehydration solution. Now, I could print millions of these pamphlets, send it to the countries where children are having diarrhea, and give to the mothers and expect that they will do this. Do you think this will work? Does it look simple? Doesn't look that simple, right? Although I'm saying it's simple, but it doesn't look simple, because often people say, it's very simple. Then when they talk, it's not really simple at all. Maybe they themselves don't know, what's the chloride and what is, potassium and sodium and so on and so forth. So how can I make this simple? How can I simplify this? So let's look at the simplified version of this. If I say that the ORS is 1 teaspoon salt, 8 teaspoon sugar, and 1 glass of water. Is that much simpler? Yes. Okay. We shall improve this message as we go on. So now we said it's 1 teaspoon salt, 8 teaspoon sugar, and 1 glass of water. Please remember this. Now, for you to remember it, remember that there was 1, 8, 1. 1, 8, 1. So the numbers that you have, is 1, 8, 1. Okay? So please recall this. Unexpected. So we talked about simplicity. So simplicity was how to strip things to the core, make them compact, try to give people something to hold on to in their memories. I want to volunteer. Okay. Can you volunteer? Okay. Give him a big hand. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Give us, and look at the camera, look at your colleagues, give us a surprise face when you are surprised. Surprise, yes. Okay? When we are surprised, we are? Did you notice that when we are surprised, what happens to, thank you very much. Perfect. Yeah. For our eyes and our eyebrow, what will happen to it? So when I'm surprised, I am ready to learn. When I'm surprised, I'm ready to take in the environment. So if I surprise you, then I can get you to learn. Okay? And if I'm angry or I'm fighting, what is the face like? Our eyes becomes very narrow. We don't want to know about anything else. We want to focus on the issue that we are facing. So the more you surprise people, the more you can actually draw their attention. A few years ago, I was walking in the campus, and there was a poster. So I just walk, I don't read everything there, but that poster had these letters written, so it's like, say, that big. So the top is S-E-X. So what's this? What's this doing in the campus? So I came closer. So that what was written there, now that we had your attention, we actually have, some charity drive and we'd like you to come and join us. So I thought, you see, when you are surprised, this thing caught your attention, make you stop and listen. So if you come to the class and I teach you something where the answer is something that you already know, most likely you'll be very bored because you expect what's going to happen next. But if the topic is always like you actually cannot tell what's going to happen next, and it's normally an enjoyable thing, not something bad, then you will be always in this curious kind of state. So if you can put people in a curious kind of state, then you can actually draw your attention. So for example, tomorrow you go and bring your robot. Who is the person that knows the most about your robot? That would be you. Then if you come and just say, this robot has a story, and I'm not sure whether I should tell it to you or not. I can tell you, people would like to know that story. And the more you make them curious, or just say, but maybe, sir, maybe what we should do is just to stick to this. So let us not talk about my story. I can tell you, even the lecturer will say, no, can you tell me the story? What was that all about? So if you could create that state of putting them in a state where they are curious, and by them I mean your audience, the people that you want to influence. Tomorrow when you do your presentation, do you want to influence the person who is marking your presentation? Do you? Do you? I don't hear you. Yes, you want to influence them. And what do you want them to know? What do you want the behavior change to be? You want them to feel that you have done a lot of work, your robot is doing very well, you guys have learned, and you deserve a full mark. That's the behavior that you would like to put that you would like to see from the person who is assessing you. Now, the success framework doesn't mean even if you didn't really do work and there is no work in the first place to be presented, you still can do that. But actually it can, even if you have nothing, even if you didn't even work on your robot, using this you could go and say, look, I don't have a robot, but I really would like to share with you a story of how this course has changed my life. And that maybe will get you something better than, having nothing at all. So I sometimes use actually the same material to train the staff, the lecturers. And I bring this example and I seek their help to use the unexpected kind of element to make the message more memorable. So imagine that on Monday, all our staff, all the lecturers in the school are going to attend training. So the training is going to be for the whole day, and the training will be delivered by a trainer from Europe. He is a world-renowned educational expert. So after that training, I expect that your lecturers will be even better lecturers, and they will be able to deliver very good lectures to you after they attend that training. What do you feel about that? So on Monday, we are going to attend training that are going to cost us 20,000 Malaysian ringgit. Is this like a great message for me to tell you? Okay, how do I pick an element in this to surprise you? What is an element that, if I say it's unexpected, something you never expect from me, and that will make you remember that message? So Monday there are no classes. I think this, if I pitch, it's actually the same thing, isn't it? But if I pitch it from Monday there's no classes, what will I see? Open learning. I'm grateful for no classes. And that will be something that you guys will remember, isn't it? So again, the message is the same thing, but the way it was delivered is different. So how can you ask yourself, what do these people who are assessing my robot expect me to do? What do they expect to hear from me? And how can I tell them something that they don't expect? The magic bottle was supposed to be something that I bring with me, but I forgot. It's in my office, so I'll skip that. But I'll talk about radio in a pocket. So, you know what is this? This is a radio. Yeah, this is a radio. So, radios used to be so huge that the companies that made radios have carpenters to make the cabinet where the radio will fit in. Now this is very interesting thing, because even person my age, I didn't really have that kind of radio, but this is really the fact of life. Every time I do this, it reminds me with my son. He keeps on asking me things like, how many gig was my iPhone when I was his age? So I say, there was no iPhone back then. Then, oh, okay. Then, what apps did you use to use? I say, there was no apps. He keeps on being very disappointed with the life that I lived when I was his age. So I swear this happened like 2 weeks ago. He asked me, books did you read when you were my age? Then he remembered, he said, oh, no, I know. There was no books when you were my age. So he thought like, everything that he has wasn't there when I was his age. So this is actually what radios used to look like, and that's a normal size for a radio. Now, there was a company that wanted to do something crazy, and that was to put a radio in a pocket. And that message was very unexpected. But the company used that message to drive their engineers to work hard. And they gave them really a dream that they just say, look, if I put this into the pocket, would you like to be part of such a company that will do this? We will do it together. And eventually they managed to do it. Do you know what's the name of that company? That's Sony, yes. So you could imagine how even putting your goal in an unexpected way, they could have said, we want to make this smaller. And the image in your mind maybe become that big, or maybe that big. But to say for this to be in your pocket, this is really, really revolutionary. And it wasn't just a dream, because at that time, transistors started to appear. But transistors were very expensive. They are like, high-tech kind of things. No one could actually put them into a radio. The radio is going to be very expensive. But Sony dared to dream, and the change of behavior they wanted in their staff and in their engineer was to believe, to work towards that goal. And the way that they put, they put the message was extremely important. Concrete. So we did simple, we did unexpected. So let's now do concrete. Now, if you think of gravity, it's actually a very, very strange and very abstract kind of concept. Gravity has been there since the beginning, but we became aware of it, measuring it only very recently, which is if you think about it, a very peculiar, very interesting fact. Now, how do I make things like gravity concrete? Now, if I tell you the word gravity, what's the image that comes to your mind? Okay, if I say a car, what's the image that comes to your mind? Yes? A Formula One car. Formula One car. What's the color of the car that came to your mind?
Yeah. Green, yellow, and white.
Right. So this is the car, which is actually very different maybe from the image that came to your mind, right? What was the image that came to your mind?
Audi.
An Audi car. What
TT.
color?
Silver.
Silver color. What came to your mind?
A BMW.
A BMW. And was color?
Blue.
Blue color. So you see, when I say what comes to your mind, please don't just say a car. No, tell me the image that came to your mind. Whenever I mention a word, an image that will come to your mind. Now, gravity. What comes to your mind? Yes? So what comes to your mind since this is closer to you?
A magnet which pulls.
So, so you have in your mind a magnet and it's pulling something. Okay. Any one of you had the image of an apple? Raise your hand. Now, interestingly, what is the connection between gravity and an apple? Because this is how the story is told to us that Isaac Newton discovered. You want to ask a question? Okay. So the idea is gravity is something that, in actual fact, very difficult to measure. We can measure weight, but we cannot measure gravity. So, meaning, in absence of me, there's no device that can measure the gravity of that piece of land. There's no such device because we actually don't know what gravity is. Until today, there are many theories, but we don't really know how does it work. But this is something that is so abstract until I attach it to something that's concrete, like an apple, then I could talk about gravity and then we can speak about it. Okay? So if you are talking about a concept, try to make it concrete. Try to make people have an image in their mind. So for example, if making your robot made you extremely happy, then you need to see and look at the person who's assessing you and you ask yourself, what makes that person happy? So you just say, sir, do you have children? Yes. Do you know when this robot worked? I felt as happy as you were when your child was born. That's for example, because this will put that person in a position to know your level of happiness. That's just an example, but you could actually work things out. But what you want, if the concept that you are trying to explain is something that is not concrete, how do you make it concrete? That's how you do that. Now, interestingly, subtraction is a very abstract process. If you think about it, even in the school, when they teach you to add, it's much easier than, learning to add is much easier than learning to subtract. And that's why learning to add happens before learning to subtract. So if you say 1 plus 1, 2 is, easier than 2 minus 1 equal 1. And we could always make the children memorize what is 3 minus 2, but to make it concrete, if I take this and I say these are 3 objects, and then so these are 3 objects, then I put 1, 2, 3. And then when I say 2 minus 3 is 1. So this is how you could actually make even, and now you guys are at a different level in your studies, but believe me, this is how they taught you in the beginning how to subtract. So you have 4. You take away 2, remain 2. And suddenly, such an abstract concept becomes more concrete. And always pictures make things concrete because we think in pictures. And that's why when I say a car, there's always an image of a car that comes to each and every one of us, and the car that comes to your mind is very different from the car to his mind and the car that I think of. So you need also to bring some, especially for the technical terms, you need to bring them to life. So for example, if I ask, how fast is your computer? How fast is that computer, Amma? Yeah, okay.
It is 2.2 gigahertz.
So 2.2 gigahertz. What does that mean? You actually don't know. And I also don't know. But if I could say that this computer could do this process or this operation within, I don't know, a second, then I will understand that, or this computer could study the flow on your racing car within 2 minutes, while the other computer will need 3 days to complete the same thing, then, oh, okay, now I understand the difference. Likewise, what is the memory? What's the size of the hard disk? 4 gig. Okay, so what does 4 gig mean? But if I say you could put how many pictures there, I could put 1 million picture, for example, or 1,000 picture there. It's a different story. I could store the how many dictionaries there. Then that gives me a better sort of understanding of sort of a abstract concept. So for us engineers, often we proudly communicate the features of the machine in that jargon, which people don't really understand. I mean, looks. So, what was the speed again? 2 gig. For the speed. 2.2 gigahertz. So 2.2 gigahertz. So what does that mean? And for us, when we make a purchase, if the other machine is 4, we know that it's faster. But is it fast enough? We actually will never be able to know that. But if you link this to, so if you are a salesperson and someone comes to you and say, look, I really want you to help me select a computer. I think you just tell him, what do you want to use the computer for? Oh, I don't know, I actually have just Excel, but sometimes my kids will do computer games. Oh, okay. If you need computer games, then the speed that you need to run that game is this. Oh, so that becomes your benchmark. You need to bring it to life. Now, how heavy is 3.5 kilograms? This is actually a very interesting question. And if I tell you, what's the weight of this? Can you tell me? This is not a trivial question. What do you think the weight is? Okay, yeah. 0.5 kg, so 500 grams. But I'm not sure. What do you think? This is 200. She said 200 gram. You say 500 gram. But this could be more than 1 kg, right? Check for me. So this is 600 gram. What do you think?
800.
800 gram. Now, did you notice that the numbers start to increase? Do you know why it increased? Just because I said it's maybe more than 1 kg, which is not. Yeah. So we actually don't know. But What is the volume? Okay, so what do you think is the weight of this? So this is 500 grams because this is water, okay? Now, you tell me, what do you think the weight of this now?
This is heavier.
This is heavier, so this would most likely be?
250.
So 250, right? Okay, so what you need to do is to anchor sort of your answers, to make it concrete. So instead of I just say, it's that many grams or that many kilometers, I could actually tell you the distance is, you could go from KL to Penang 5 times. So that gives you a feel of how far it is. Or sometimes they say the distance from here to the moon and back is the length of the fiber optics around the world. Then suddenly it gives you at least a feel of how long is that fiber optic. So this is how you could take something that is abstract and convert it into something that is concrete. So now we go back to the same example of the diarrhea. So if you recall, we made it simple because it is 1, 8, 1. So how can we make this concrete? So if I mix it in front of you, will that make it concrete? Where's the water? Oh, okay. This is salt. Okay, so this is empty. Okay? So this is salt. Okay? And this is sugar. Oh, we have more. Okay. So 3. Okay, sorry. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you. That's water. So now I want to volunteer. No, but tastes very good. So what did I do? I took it from in the beginning where it looks like gibberish with this complicated table. Then I took it I simplified it. So I say everything that you need there is literally sugar and salt and water. And then when I do it in front of you and drink it, I think you will never forget it now. So in the future, if a child has diarrhea and you would like to do it and you don't have access to the ORS, you could just do it that way. So it's the same message, but the impact is very different. So you could you imagine if we were to just send pamphlets of the way the message was delivered in the beginning and send it to where children are having diarrhea, the likelihood that they will do it is very, very small. But now it's going to be different. As a matter of fact, I could go even one step further. I remove even the words. So I put picture of 1 teaspoon of salt. I put picture of 8 teaspoons of sugar. I put picture of water. So even if you don't speak any English or any language, or even the mother is ill, she'll be able to perform that simple operation. Credible. So credible is believable. I mean, people believe you, believe what you say. So people need to be able to believe. And the message has to be, somehow believable, or coming from a person or an institution that is credible. So credibility is often built through track record. So if, for example, if a person has been telling the truth for a very long time, or a person has been certified by a university or an institution of being credible, having qualification, then that person can give endorsement. So that's why sometimes certain products, they get a person to endorse it. So that person could be just a celebrity just to draw your attention, but at times could be a person supposedly with credible. So if you look at the toothpaste, who would normally endorse the toothpaste? You want dentists, right? They say most of the dentists use that toothpaste themselves. That's sort of endorsement of that product. So if, for example, if you do not believe that the insurance company will pay you if your car has an accident or if your house is burnt, you won't buy insurance. So credibility is extremely important. But if you know that when your friend had a car accident, they actually repaired the car for him, then you are more than willing, or at least willing, to purchase the insurance. So credibility is extremely important. So how do I make this simple, concrete, and credible? So literally is when I tell you about what is happening. If you recall, in the beginning, what did I cite? I cite UNICEF and the United Nations. So these 2 million people who are dying is not my estimation. There is an organization, a credible organization behind them. And I can mix these, and if I drink it, you will be believing me even more. So maybe if I put it, you think, does it taste well? Is it toxic? Maybe something will happen. But if I drink the whole thing, you will realize that this is okay. So this is how to make it even more credible, that I've tried it on myself. Now I want to share with you a video. So maybe you could turn off the light for me. About Barry Marshall, Nobel Prize-winning scientist that no one believed. So he had a theory, and he had been testing it, and no one actually believed that this thing worked.
He was the Perth scientist who became the toast of the medical world after solving a conundrum that had perplexed doctors for 100 years. Barry Marshall, with colleague Professor Robin Warren, won the Nobel Prize for identifying that a bacterium, not stress or a poor diet, was responsible for stomach ulcers. Robin Warren is now in retirement, but Barry Marshall is on the way to trumping even his own spectacular discovery. He and his team are about to start human trials of a system which could one day deliver vaccines for everything from the flu to cholera without needles. And he's using an old friend to create the very first edible vaccines. Ros Thomas reports.
This little bug that so many people have in their stomach controls your immune system. You can't get rid of it, so it's possible to load something useful onto it, and it could carry a vaccine into the body and vaccinate you through the wall of the stomach.
Barry Marshall's fascination with an odd little bacteria called Helicobacter pylori has become a lifelong obsession, a germ he now believes could help science revolutionise the way we immunise humans against disease. At work here, tucked away in a secure lab at Perth's Sir Charles Gardner Hospital, are 16 of the world's leading microbiologists, a high-calibre team recruited by Barry Marshall to turn his idea into a multi-million-dollar research project. And it all began as an epiphany 10 years ago in Switzerland.
I was sitting in the audience and listening to a vaccine study about HIV and AIDS which had failed. I said, if only there was a way of getting a vaccine to millions of people for about 10 cents each. How could you do that? And I realised then that maybe Helicobacter was the thing to use. Hey Rob. Good to see you again.
No one else had ever wanted to see what I was doing before. So to actually have someone come and ask to see it, I thought was pretty good.
Long lives.
Yeah.
Once a year, these old colleagues meet up for a beer overlooking the Swan River. Between them, they know more about Helicobacter pylori than anyone else on the planet. But for more than a century, doctors had been convinced that no bacteria could survive the acid bath of the stomach. Medical doctrine held that stomach ulcers were caused by stress or spicy food. But Perth pathologist Robin Warren was certain he'd seen bacteria growing in the stomachs of ulcer patients. In 1981, he apprenticed the young gastroenterologist Barry Marshall to see if together they could prove the establishment had got it wrong.
We were having a lot of trouble with people thinking our ideas were mad. I had pretty good evidence for what I was doing. I had some very nice photographs that I could show people, but the clinicians didn't want to see them.
One of their biggest hurdles was that they could not get Helicobacter pylori to infect guinea pigs in the lab. It was peculiar only to humans, and as far as Barry Marshall was concerned, that left just one very unsavoury option.
After a couple of years, I couldn't take it anymore. I said, I've got to actually prove that these things can infect a healthy human.
He just came along and said to me, you know, let's do it. And I just said no.
Did you draw straws as to who would drink it, you or
Well, I was the only
Robin
person.
Warren?
I was the only person interested in it, and so I did it on myself. My lab tech, he had to brew up the bacteria for a few weeks and put them in the broth and stirred it up, and it just looked a little bit cloudy, and then I sculled it down like a tequila or something, and then what's going to happen? Well, nothing happened. Then I started waking up in the morning and vomiting in the toilet. So I said, hang on a minute, this is a bit unusual. And then finally, on the 8th day, I had an endoscopy where they put the scope down, took the biopsies, and there were absolutely massive numbers of bacteria all sticking to the lining of my stomach. So that was a very exciting day for me. At that point, I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And, of course, I spoke to my colleagues, I told them about it, and then I went home and told my wife about it. And she was there, you did what?
That story is now legend, not least because 21 years later, wife Adrian has forgiven him, and Barry Marshall and Robin Warren were awarded the Nobel Prize for their discovery in 2005.
All of a sudden it was pretty exciting because we had a little bacteria which infected 3 billion people, and 10% of those people were getting ulcers, so the 300 million people needed to know about this.
In this freezer, at minus 80 degrees, are 500 of the million or so strains now identified as Helicobacter pylori. One by one, Barry Marshall's scientists are testing them for their suitability to carry a vaccine. So far, their strike rate has exceeded all expectations. They have found 10 strains that appear to act benignly in humans, yet can still be genetically manipulated to carry a strand of foreign DNA from a disease like influenza.
We can take a piece of DNA from, say, a cholera bacteria and put that into our Helicobacter, and then when it's in your stomach, just sitting there, not causing too much trouble, it starts producing the cell wall of cholera. And your immune system looks at it and says, excuse me, I need to do something here, it looks like I'm getting cholera. And so you make antibodies against cholera, and now you are immunised against cholera.
Here he was thinking of H. pylori as a tool, not as a bug that causes a disease anymore. He's using it as a carrier tool for a completely different set of functions. And I thought, yep, that's Barry, and maybe he's onto something again.
As head of gastroenterology at Sir Charles Gardner Hospital, Hui Yi is selecting the patients who will this month begin the first round of human trials to test the safety of the chosen strains.
They won't cause the host any harm, and in time, once their usefulness is expired, we can just give them a simple course of eradication therapy and boom, off it goes. So it was just there for a while, carried the vaccines or whatever, and then it's destroyed again.
Do you believe that this could well change the face of human vaccinations?
This will change human vaccinations. I think we can do it. Once it's developed, you can make it anywhere in the middle of Africa with a solar panel. You don't really need to have a big factory or anything. And we'll control that from Perth. So what have we got on Thursday, Rachel?
Even Barry Marshall's ties now bear the stamp of his favourite bacteria, and his life has become a whirlwind of international lectures, meetings of scientific minds and investor briefings. But his vision of a world where children need only sip a drink to be saved from disease is now about to materialise.
What we're standing on is a whole foundation of the Barrys of this world, the scientists, the researchers of this world, who then create and innovate and make new things that help us to institute or provide better healthcare for more people. And I cannot tell you how many millions of dollars he has saved worldwide on his discoveries, how many millions of lives he has saved and improved with these sorts of discoveries.
How far ahead of the rest of the scientific world are you with this one?
We're ahead. So the problem is you never know what secret research is happening in the other universities. So it's a kind of an exciting long-distance horse race, if you like.
Great. So you know the story. Everyone thinks that you'll get an ulcer due to stress or if you eat spicy food. But he thinks that a bacteria is causing this. And he's unable to infect the guinea pigs, so he had to show somehow that this is happening, and he had to drink it himself, have the disease developed into his stomach, and then take an antibiotic and show that an ulcer can be treated with antibiotic. So literally, even a scientist like him, people did not believe. So sometimes we have to do things to get the credibility. But luckily, we don't have to do this always by harming ourselves, but it could be by, either you could invite someone who has that credibility to be with you when you present. So again, ask yourself tomorrow in your presentation, what are the assessors looking for? And how can I make my message more believable, more credible, so that they know for example, I really have done the work myself. Now, sometimes the way to do it, if someone wants to know that this is really your work, you could show a video of yourself doing it, a picture of yourself doing it, and things like that. So the issue is here, how do you lend credibility to your message? So we did simple, we did unexpected, we did concrete and credible. Now let's talk about emotional. So the more personalized and personal the message is, the more emotions are involved. And every time there are emotions involved, we will remember what has happened. So the emotions, whether they are good, positive or negative, they will help us remember. But we always want our message to really be involved with some positive emotions rather than negative emotions. So they will remember us for the right reasons rather than the wrong reasons. The emotion allows you to get connected with the audience. So for example, if your presentation is the last one, what do you think the assessors or the lecturers or the audience will be? Will they be fresh or tired? So tired. So if you actually indicate that you know that they are tired, you appreciate that they are here for you, whether you like it or not, they will actually get connected with you. I'm sure you had a tough day. I really appreciate it. We are the last one, but hang on, I'll try to make it really simple. I'll try to make it enjoyable, and let's do this together. When you tell a story, you need to use names. So you don't say my neighbor or my friend. You could just say my friend John did that. And the moment you engage the name, you engage simple details from our daily life, the emotions of people will be engaged very much with you. I'm back to the ORS. If you recall, I show you a typical message in the beginning, then we made it simple, then we made it concrete by showing you how to mix it. Then we made it credible by me drinking it. So how can I improve this message further? So if I tell you this in that way, so this is Akila. She's 4 years old. Sorry, some part of my message was and when she grows up, she wants to be a school teacher. Things messed up when I was fixing it. So she's 4 years old. She want to be a teacher, and she's one of the children who were saved by the ORS. And you know what ORS is? You can contribute helping others, children like her, by learning how to mix it and teaching other people how to mix it. So now suddenly, this is not about the 2 million children. This is about one girl. We know her. We know her face. She has beautiful eyes. We know her name. Her name is Akila. When she grows up, she wants to be a teacher. This is a story. This is touching us. We remember our own kids. We remember the people that we have been, with. So if you could make your presentation emotional, make people connect with you, tell them an emotional story, things will be better. So this is how I would like you to utilize the success framework. Now, storytelling is extremely important. And always, when there is a story, people will like to listen. Now, the video is actually a very good way of telling a story. And in your presentation, if time permits, a short story that you tell yourself, or a short video, not necessarily even made by you, even if you get it from somewhere, if it's relevant, will always help. So, for example, if I were to if I am trying to make you guys spend more time at the school, appreciate the fact that you are given the opportunity to study, I could tell you, before people didn't have access to school and you should be lucky and all this thing that normally parents do and normally, kids don't listen to. But if I tell you a story, or I even borrow a story from someone who have been maybe through a certain situation, maybe it's going to be more effective. So I have picked this. I was actually watching Al Jazeera and they show this, and I thought this is a very wonderful story, so I've got it from their website and I'm using it now.
Gats Filipai has a full-time job as a janitor at New York's Columbia University. But on Sunday, Columbia will award him a bachelor's degree with honors, along with many of the students he's been cleaning up after.
Some of them were surprised, and it happened to me. Wait, didn't I see you in my class? Yes. So you work here? Yes. Good. It happened a couple of times.
Filipai left his war-torn country of Yugoslavia nearly 20 years ago, knowing virtually no English, but armed with a fierce determination to make it in America. He pursued his dream of a university education by taking advantage of Columbia's offer of free courses to its employees, a university where full tuition normally totals $45,000 a year. Often working overtime, it took Filipai 12 years to finish his studies in the classics.
Many times I did not sleep at all, especially when I had to write papers.
He always, really held his head high because he knew he had multiple goals and he was going to achieve them.
I was mostly with half of my mind thinking about my classes and about maybe one day is going to be something better.
Filipai says he sent most of his wages back to his family in Montenegro. He regrets that his father, who died recently, couldn't live to see him graduate. Especially, says Filipai, because his dad thought his son wasn't too smart.
I would like that people, when they look at me and at this age that I graduated, they do not feel ashamed to go to school.
Filipai says he may not be going back to his cleaning job, but he'd like to stay at Columbia, perhaps in pursuit of a master's degree. Tom Ackerman, Al Jazeera.
So this is a story. I'm sure you will remember it. He's a janitor. He attended the classes. He has gotten his degree, and he's thinking of a master's degree. And the message is very simple. I guess it's emotional. You know, the father has passed away, and he really would love that his father to see him as a graduate. There are so many human elements that every one of us could identify with. So the last part is the last S, which is the simulation. So when you want someone to remember something, you need to get him or her to simulate what you are, trying to get him to learn, to use it, to try it. So if you give a free trial, if you have a value proposition for anything that you are doing, you think that this water is going to cure you, or this shampoo will make your hair smoother or stronger. Normally, what do they give you? They give you a free sample to try. And what's the purpose for this? Is to get you to try it, to simulate it, to see how does it work for you. Free samples that I just said. Now, why is this? This is an Apple store. And what do you do in Apple store? They actually just try it. There are shops. You go there. Can you open their electronics and play with it? Not everyone does that, but Apple does it. IKEA. I go to some of the furniture shops, and they just say, "Please do not sit. Please do not touch." In IKEA, they ask you, "Please touch. Please use. Please sleep. Please test the bed," so that when you try it, when you simulate your experience with it, you may like it, you may buy it. So this is a very powerful way of getting you to get your message across. So for example, if you think that you have developed a beautiful way to control your robot, after you do this, you could just say to whoever is doing it, "You know what? I'd like you to try it. Can you please take the iPad? Please you try, see how you will control my robot." This is going to be extremely powerful, but you need to be really confident that the graphical user interface is simple. And I don't know, I spoke to one of you this morning when they were exhibiting the robot, and the points were 0, 1, and they say 0 means go straight, 1 go 45 degrees. I say, why don't you just 0, instead of 0 you just write straight, and instead of 1 you write 45 degrees, so that it becomes intuitive rather than you have to do another layer of, to make it, simplify it. So even your graphical user interface could actually be simplified further. So believe me, but I think whoever is going to assess you tomorrow will be very scratching their head in a way that everyone say, "Please try it, please try it." So there are different ways of you to get them to simulate the experience that you have been through yourself. So finally, success is a general framework. You can use it to improve your presentations. You can use it even in your personal life when you are talking to other people, when you're communicating with other people, when you want them to change behavior. Now, as I told you, we are really approaching we are approaching the end of this course, and I really hope that you have enjoyed whatever we have done. I'll be more than happy to continue to answer your questions, whether directly or on open learning. But I really invite you to always reflect on the journey that we had. The emotional intelligence is continuing to be a very important part of success in such a complex and changing world. And I really hope that you have an appreciation for whatever we have shared with you, from the brain rewiring to my emotions today, to the concept of doing meditation, which is a very, very powerful kind of concept where you could really reach your inner strength. So as usual, we end up with these questions, the reflection questions, and I would like to have to hear from some of you all of you if possible, what have you learned and what will you be doing differently, whether today or throughout the course. So if we could go and spend a few minutes on that, that would be really, really good. So who would like to start? Yeah.
I've learned to put my thoughts more clearly because in my group we have Madi, who sometimes we have it's very difficult for me to explain things. So now it's easier if I put things more into pictures and notes for him to understand. This will make us communicate more easily.
Good, good. Do you like to? Yeah. So let us start with her and then we go like this. Yeah. Thank you for starting. Yeah.
I learned how to improve my presentation skills so that more persons can understand what I'm saying, and it's really helpful when they it's help others to ask questions if they don't understand. Like,
good.
Help me to answer them back.
Good. Yeah.
I love to make my speech simple but very compact because I get so nervous whenever I need to speak in front of everyone. So basically, that's what I learned today.
And do you intend to use it tomorrow, hopefully, if you are presenting?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So what I've learned today is basically communication, and by communication it doesn't mean that it is a one-way thing. It's kind of like a comprehension of between two persons. So yeah, I will use it for my communication skills.
Good.
What I've learned today is communication is very important, and how you communicate with others. Make them more understand what I'm trying to say.
What I learned today was that in the success framework we had the simulation, and that was a very powerful step in our and in what we wanted to achieve and what we wanted to show, and if possible I want to try and apply it in my future presentations.
The simulation part. Thank you. Great.
Today we learn about the success platform, how to communicate. So for me, the objective of communication is to change a person, to change something. So this platform, I think, serves as a good way to enhance the changing experience in a person. So I will definitely use it. I'll be using some of it. So I think can add more to what I've been experienced before.
Okay, great.
I learned the importance of communication and there are many different ways to influence someone to believe what you want them to believe. I learned that humans, if you want some humans to believe something, they need to see it, they need to touch it, they need to feel it, they need to experience it. And I really think that communication is something that's very important.
Great. Madi.
Today I learned communicate, it's very important in life. It's really important for example, without communicate, people cannot development.
Yeah, I actually would like really to take this opportunity to thank Madi for, especially towards the end of the course, how he put himself forward. I noticed that he volunteers, he wants to talk, and he wants to improve. And I really would like to thank you for this. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
Today I've learned the true meaning of success and how to achieve it. And from now on, I'm inspired to implement all those into my daily life and presentations.
Wonderful. All the best.
Today I learned the success, and then the special thing I learned, the interesting is the simulation. They teach whatever the feeling, and then we touch, and then we hear. So what do I do different? Whatever I learned today, I will make it on my daily routine.
Good.
I learned two things. One, to throw properly,
through a board properly.
Right.
Another thing is basically about the importance on how we can impact the person who's actually giving us marks. So basically, what will I do differently from now on? Two things. One, I'll throw better. Secondly, I will get straight to the point and make sure that I impact the person who's marking in a better way and following the success framework.
Good, wonderful.
What I learned today is the definition of success, where each letter represents a word. And I noticed that communication is very important in our life, and I will improve my skills of presentation so that others can understand me well and it would be simple and nice.
Wonderful. Rex?
Today I learned that simple isn't always easy, and that it's very important to get the message out simply. And the road to success isn't easy, but everyone can achieve it. What I will do differently from now on is to keep everything simple, not complicated, and to know that I have a goal and to reach for that goal through the success.
Wonderful.
Simple.
Great.
Today what I learned in success is basically everything start in a complex way, but we can make it into a simple way. And so in next time when I have to present in a stage or in front of the audience, I will try to make it as simple as possible rather than in a complex.
Right. Wonderful. Great.
Today what I learned that for what I know is not enough to achieve success. Success will be achievable if it's because of who I know. The more people I know, the more easier success will be achieved. And because everyone has a different communication, everyone has a different approach, and this courses taught me how to approach people in various ways.
Wonderful.
Today I learned that many people who's normal, their success finally because they want something. And I also learned that being success is important because being success we will do our job differently, and as success the first word as simple, so doing simple is very important to develop ourselves.
Good.
And I will be thinking more different from now.
Wonderful.
Today I learned an incredibly useful skill and knowledge about how success really is, what is it, how do I manage it, and whether what I do will reflect or will have an impact on people or not. So what I will do differently from now on is everything I do, I'll try to reflect it back on success, whether what I'm doing is simple, unexpected, so on or so forth.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Our learn is that what is the success and what is each for is stand for, and know that every person in either can make it as like an apple, and they make it from the very complicated form into the very simple form. Yeah, I learned all that.
Wonderful.
Just try to make it simple and easy.
Good.
For all the people, easy to do and comfortable.
Good.
What I learned today is about communication through success, that if we have success in us, then we can actually improve other people as well as yourself. So what I can do differently is I can use this success method to use it for tomorrow's presentation.
Good. Wonderful.
What I learned today is the success framework, and presentation is definitely something difficult to do, and to make a better and effective presentations, I think that to follow the success framework is a very effective way.
Good. Wonderful.
What I learned today is communication is very important for us to get more to each other or share the important message. Then and we should make it simple and clear, and so that people can easily understand what we want and or what we think, and to reduce the conflict.
Good, thanks.
It's my personal self-assessment that I've always been failed in my communicative skills and to influence others. So that today with things I have learned, I'm not only reflecting in my presentation but in my personal individual life as well.
Good, thank you.
Basically what I learned today is the way to communicate with others so that I can convey my message to others simple and clear, so that others can understand me very well.
Wonderful. Great. So with this, I would like to thank you very much. I would like to, all of you, give yourself a big round of applause. Thank you.